Welcome back, everyone, to this journey into the Christian spiritual life. So by now you've likely realized that the spiritual life is not a smooth, uninterrupted ascent towards God. It's a path of ups and downs, of clarity and confusion, peace and struggle. And so today we're going to speak about discernment, specifically what St. Ignatius of Loyola called the discernment of spirits. And so this teaching is essential because every soul seeking God will experience an inner battle, moments of light and encouragement, but also moments of heaviness, confusion, and doubt. And so learning to recognize these movements within yourself and understanding where they come from is crucial for growing in the spiritual life. St. Ignatius once said that in the heart of every person, two opposing spiritual forces are at work. One comes from God, drawing the soul towards peace, freedom, and love, and the other comes from the enemy, leading the soul into confusion, discouragement, and spiritual paralysis. What's happening inside you isn't random. The thoughts, feelings, and desires that rise within you are part of this inner spiritual battle. And the ability to discern, to recognize these movements, is a gift you can learn and practice. And so Ignatius called these movements spiritual consolation and spiritual desolation. And so let's begin with consolation. Spiritual consolation is not simply feeling good or happy. It's something deeper. Ignatius defines consolation as any movement of the soul that draws you toward God, toward faith, hope, and love. It's when your heart feels expanded, when you experience a deep peace that orients you toward God, even in suffering. And so it might be a moment of clarity during prayer, a sudden insight while reading scripture, a quiet joy in knowing you are loved, a strengthening of your desire to serve God and others. So during consolation, you feel drawn out of yourself. Your heart is turned upward. You feel the presence of grace. But Ignatius warns, don't assume that consolation will always last. God gives these moments as encouragement, but they are often followed by something else, desolation. So spiritual desolation is the opposite movement. It's when your soul feels heavy, restless, discouraged, or confused. And so you might feel like giving up prayer. Doubts cloud your mind. Hope seems distant. You feel cut off from God. Importantly, Ignatius clarifies that desolation is not simply feeling sad or suffering in life. Spiritual desolation is specifically that movement of the heart which turns you away from God. It isolates you, discourages you, draws you inward into yourself. It leads you to spiritual paralysis. So desolation often whispers lies like God doesn't care about you. Prayer is pointless. You're wasting your time. You're not good enough. The enemy uses desolation to pull you away from grace. And here's where discernment matters. During desolation, your perceptions cannot be trusted. In these moments, you need clarity and resistance. So, how should we respond? Well, St. Ignatius gives practical rules. He says, in times of desolation, prepare yourself for future desolation. Store up strength, make resolutions, give thanks to God, be humble, knowing that desolation will come. And in times of desolation, never make significant spiritual decisions. Why? Well, because your clarity is clouded. Desolation is not the time to abandon prayer, to stop attending church, or change direction. Stay the course. And most importantly, in desolation, resist. Don't give in. Increase your prayer, even if it feels dry. Seek out spiritual support. Remember God's faithfulness in past consolations. And so Ignatius puts it very simply. He says, in desolation, act against it. And he encourages hope. Desolation will pass. Feelings are not facts. God has not abandoned you. This inner struggle is not failure, it's growth. And so over time, you'll begin to notice the pattern. Movements of light and moments of light and grace, followed by times of darkness and confusion. And so this is the normal rhythm of the soul's journey. But by practicing discernment, you'll stop reacting blindly to these inner movements. You'll recognize when God is leading you forward and when the enemy is trying to hold you back. C.S. Lewis, in the famous book Screwtape Letters, portrays this reality very powerfully. The demonic character, Screwtape, advises his apprentice that when a Christian feels abandoned and keeps praying anyway, he is ours no longer, he says. In other words, when you resist desolation and remain faithful, your soul grows stronger. The enemy desires your discouragement. God desires your freedom. And so the Daily Examen, which we explored previously, is one of the best tools for practicing discernment. Again, at the end of each day, review where you experience consolation, moments of peace, gratitude, desire for God, and where you experience desolation, moments of heaviness, isolation, or turning away. Over time, you'll begin to recognize patterns in your life. You'll see how God is drawing you forward and where the enemy tries to block your path. Discernment is not about mystical visions or dramatic signs. It's about paying attention to the quiet movements of your soul. And so at the heart of Ignatius' teaching is this conviction. God is always working to draw you closer to himself. Everything he allows in your life, even dryness, even struggle, is permitted for your growth. The enemy's goal is simple, to lead you away from God, into confusion, fear, and paralysis. But God's goal is also simple, your freedom, your peace, your joy in him. Through discernment, you learn to cooperate with God's grace, to follow his lead, to resist the enemy's deceptions, and to walk forward, even in weakness, toward the God who calls you by name. And so here's a simple practice for you, maybe this week. At the end of each day, reflect. Where did I experience consolation today? Where did I experience desolation? Thank God for moments of peace and grace. In moments of desolation, ask for strength to resist and trust. And remind yourself this, feelings come and go. God remains faithful. And so in the next episode, we'll explore how the sacramental life of the church helps us to live this spiritual journey more deeply. How God meets us not only in prayer and scripture, but in physical, tangible ways. For now, remember this. There is a battle within your soul, but you are not alone. God is leading you. And when you learn to listen carefully, to discern, you will discover that even the struggles are part of his grace at work. And so God bless you. I'll see you in the next episode.